Hey guys, what's up? Madseason here, and welcome to part 3 of my Big Gold Guide. This is a series that focuses on using a lot of alts to your advantage to make gold. In the previous parts, we discussed alt optimization, garrison missions, my personal garrison building setup, and crafting. In this video, we're going to finish up the garrison related stuff. I'll talk about the pet menagerie, guild banks, and I'll do a couple of example runs of what I do on each character every day for those of you that maybe want to see a preview of what this method of gold making is like. Make sure you watch part 1 of this series first, or a lot of what I say here may not make sense. I'll have an annotation here and a link to that in the description of this video. So, like I said in part 2, pet battling has always been a great way to make gold in this game, and the pet menagerie is no exception. What this building does is it gives you a daily quest where you complete one pet battle per day. Now I understand not everybody likes pet battles, that's understandable. I'll have an annotation pop up right now that skips past all of this pet stuff if you want. I sort of had the same mindset about pet battling before I started doing it. I was never a fan of Pokemon or anything like that, but when I actually gave it a chance, I found that I really liked it, surprisingly. So if you want, it might be worthwhile to start the intro quest for the pet battling system, just to see if you like it or not. I'm just saying this in case people are in the same mindset that I used to be, because it's a whole different aspect of the game that I really enjoy, and I'm glad I gave it a chance. If you're just getting started, I'll have a link in the description to a beginner's guide to the whole pet battling system. And as a disclaimer, to be able to do anything with the pet menagerie, you have to have at least 3 level 25 battle pets to complete the quest that unlocks it, but in reality, to win most of these pet battles, you're going to need a wide array of different pets. It's not really something that the game makes clear, and I just wanted to let that be known before you start investing yourself into the whole pet battling system. It's a lot of work at first, but once you have a decent amount of pets leveled to 25, it'll start paying off. The daily menagerie quest awards you with pet charms, which you can spend in a few different ways. The most profitable way is going to depend on your server's economy. You can do this daily on all of your alts as long as they have the menagerie unlocked. The pets are all account bound, and so are the pet charms, so this building is really good for the alt-centered approach of gold making that this whole series focuses on. You can spend these pet charms at your menagerie vendors to buy various bind-on-equip pets and toys. These can be quite valuable. Like I said, you'll have to figure out the best way to spend your pet charms. Some items are going to be more valuable than others, but they might cost more pet charms, so you might have to bust out the calculator. For example, using my auctioneer add-on, you can see that this spirit wand toy sells for around 4,000 gold, and it costs 100 pet charms. And this nether pup pet sells for around 7,000 gold, but it costs a whopping 200 pet charms. So in raw gold per pet charm, the spirit wand is a better choice in this case. You can also buy leveling stones. These are bind-on pickups, so you can't sell them on the auction house, but you can still make some gold from these by using trade chat. A lot of the pets are tradable in this game, so what I used to do is I would offer to level any tradable pet to the max level, which is level 25, for 3,000 gold. You can charge whatever you think it's worth. I personally just charged a flat 3,000 gold, but that might also be different depending on your server's economy. I don't do this anymore, but back when I used to do it, it was the best gold for the amount of pet charms it cost. This is kind of a lot of work though, because for people to do this with you, they gotta trust you, obviously. When I first started doing this, it would be kind of rare for people to message me. It took a while of advertising before a lot of people really started to trust me enough to trade their pets to me. This is a lot of work, but I thought I would just throw it out there for anyone that, wants to go the extra mile to try to maximize the value of their pet charms as much as possible. On the same vein, you can also buy the rare upgrade tokens. These upgrade the quality of any pet to rare, which is the maximum quality. The higher quality they have, the higher the stats. I think I charged around 1,000 gold for each of these, but it's been quite a while, so I don't know if that's too much or too little gold these days. If you don't want to use trade chat, you can also just look for any valuable bind-on-equip pet on the auction house and see the difference between the level 1 and the level 25 versions. Here you can see the Dark Moon Zeppelin goes for 3,000 gold at level 1 and 9,000 gold at level 25. So if you want, you can buy the level 1 version, then level it to 25, and then throw it back up on the auction house for a profit. You only want to do this with the actual good battle pets, because if they're crappy, people won't have a use for them at level 25, and therefore they won't sell very well. Off the top of my head, some really good ones are Melodious, the Pandaren Water Spirit, and the Dark Moon Zeppelin. These three pets in particular are a common team, and pretty much any pet battler will eventually want all three of these. The Vicitus Globule and the Anubis Athidal may also be good choices. Also, it's important to point out that every character you level to 100, you get something called the Ultimate Pet Battle Training Stone. What this does is it levels any pet up to level 25, and you only get one per character. To get it, you have to have a level 3 garrison, and you just complete a short quest from your pet menagerie. So even if you don't go all in with the menagerie, you can at least grab the stone just to make some quick gold by leveling someone else's pet, or just buying a level 1 off the auction house, then reselling it at level 25. So that's pretty much it for the pet menagerie. Lots of potential, as you can see, but not everybody's cup of tea, I'm sure. Let's move on to the next topic of this video, and that's guild banking. Once you start building up a decent number of alts, going about your daily business in your garrison will start to take more and more time. To make things a little easier on yourself, you may want to have a dedicated guild for all of your characters. The reason you would want this is for the guild banking. When you're doing your work orders and crafting and such, you're going to need to keep each character stocked with different trade materials. If you're using the same buildings that I mentioned in part 2, you're going to need Blackrock ore, True Iron ore, Sumptuous fur, Gorgoron flytrap, and various other herbs. What you're going to want to do is you want to throw all of these materials in your guild bank so all of your characters can grab whatever they need on the fly by using the mobile banking skill in the general tab of your skill book. This way, you're not relogging onto multiple characters a bunch of times just to mail these materials between alts. Once you really start getting a lot of characters leveled, even simple things such as mailing will start to eat up a lot of your time unnecessarily because you have to do it so many times. Guild banks are a great way to consolidate all of your crafting materials into one container for fast and easy access. I also use it to store all of my auctions too. If you're following my build from part 2, you're going to have a lot of Hexweave bags, old transmog gear from the salvage yard, and jewel crafting stuff like rings and amulets if you chose to craft those. I craft all of these items on every character, then I just throw them in the guild bank and have one designated character put them all up on the auction house. Doing it this way is way faster than, say, having to mail all of these items to one character, or just putting them all up on the auction house on each character individually. You can buy up to 8 tabs per guild bank, I believe. That's probably overkill. I mean, it's a lot of storage. I just run with 6 or 7, and that's plenty enough to store all of my stuff. Guild banking isn't necessary by any means, but it does help a lot with organizing everything. Once you start leveling a lot of characters, things can get really messy and out of order pretty quickly. Also, you don't need to be in the guild with every single one of your characters too. You can do what I do and keep your main character in your raiding guild or whatever if you have one, and just move all of your alts into your banking guild. And I guess that's all I have to say about guild banking. While we're on the topic of organization though, I thought I'd talk about a couple of add-ons. You may have noticed an add-on I have where when I mouse over an item, it shows how much of that item I have on each character. This add-on is called Altaholic, and I'll have a link to it in the description. It just helps a little more with keeping things in order once you start getting more and more characters. It has a wide array of different features, so I highly recommend checking this one out. You may have also noticed my bag add-on. This one is called Bagnon. It just combines all of your bags into one interface. I prefer this style over Blizzard's default style. For me, it kind of makes it easier to find stuff. It's not really a big deal, but I thought I'd mention it in case you were curious. And I guess that's all I have to say about guild banking and add-ons for now. Like I said, not necessary, but very useful. To conclude this video, I thought I would do a couple of examples of how I do my dailies on each of my characters, for those of you that want to see a preview of this method of gold making before you dedicate yourself to leveling all of these characters. By now, you should have your garrison missions ready and all of your buildings set up, so I thought I would just kind of give you an idea of how long the garrison stuff takes per character once you've been doing it for a while. These characters have full 18 treasure hunters and 5 scavengers, so keep in mind if you're just starting out, your missions won't be as lucrative here. But if you keep recruiting, you should reach this level eventually. But let's load into the monk here. Here you can see I have a full set of garrison missions ready to go, so using my master plan add-on, I'm going to click complete all on that and get all of this gold. This is kind of high. The normal round of gold is usually 400 to 600, so I ended up getting 2,000 there. That's a little higher than usual, so I just want to kind of let that be known, just to keep it as accurate as possible. But just try to follow your priority list that I mentioned in part 1. I'm getting these gold missions, those scavenger missions. At this point I've just done it so much, I'm not really too picky about that order, so I just kind of throw on whatever. And then I send all my parties out at the top there. And next let's head over to do all of our crafting and work orders. I have the Arcane Sanctum, so you can use those teleporters to get there a little quicker. As I said in part 1, your other large building doesn't really matter that much, so I just did that. It's not really a big deal though. But let's stop at the jewel crafting building, and as you can see I don't have any blackrock ore, so this is kind of really shows how the guild banking can really come in handy. If I didn't have this, I'd have to log on to another character, send the ore, then log back onto this one, and you know, if you're doing that multiple times, it's really just going to slow you down. So I'm doing my daily crafts here, hexweave cloth, talidite crystals, and the jewel crafting daily is 2 haste talidites. I end up needing 4 frostweed for this, and you just craft 2 of them and turn them in. And the gold reward will be around 200 to 300 gold. The only jewel crafting daily you skip is the 2 glowing blackrock bands, because at least on my server, it ends up costing more gold to make those than from what you get from the bag. And here's where I would log off. From here you would normally do your pet menagerie daily. I personally don't do that anymore because I don't have a need for the gold. But one thing I should mention is that this process will be a little different every 3 days, because that's how long it takes for your work orders to complete and your garrison cache to fill up. On that 3rd day I would pick up my 21 completed work orders and start 21 new ones. I would also pick up my garrison cache, since that maxes out every 3 days too at 500 resources. You'll also be getting your rush work orders as well. I usually let these build up to a full stack of 20 before I burn all of those. You also may have noticed that I don't have jewel crafting work orders running. That's just because I kind of have an excess of talidite crystals. I only have the jewel crafting building for the daily pretty much, so I haven't done the work orders in quite a while since I just have so many crystals lying around. Let's do one more run. This time I'll time it. I won't be super speedy, I'll go at my normal pace, so this should give you an idea of how long these dailies take without having to stop and explain stuff. Like I said, I don't do my pet menagerie dailies anymore. If I did, it would probably tack on another 2 or 3 minutes depending on how tough the battle is. And as you saw, I don't go through my mines or herb garden either, so if you're using those buildings as well, it'll take longer obviously. Like I said in part 2, I prefer just having to buy my ore and herbs off the auction house. And that's all there is to it. Hopefully that kind of gave you an idea of just how much you can optimize this stuff. And if you really start getting a lot of characters leveled to 100, the gold you get really starts to add up the more characters you level. This video is the last of the garrison related stuff. I'll catch you in part 4, where we'll be using a more traditional way of farming by clearing out some lucrative raids and picking up some rare and expensive pets. As always, I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching, good luck, and peace!